back on Dartmoor. It's been a few weeks since I was last up here. It was quite cool this morning. Driving in, it was about 7.5 centigrade. When I set out on the walk, it was about 14. Now it's about 20 centigrade, so it's certainly warmed up. We've just left Great Links Tor behind, and Bleak House, of course, is in that direction, which we'll be heading. Brat Tor is just down there, so I did one flight over at Brat Tor and then one up on Great Links Tor. It's quite wet coming along here, so I've got slightly damp feet, but that's fine. So I'm not exactly sure what the plan for today is. I was never quite sure which walk. Well, I knew I was going to come to this area, but I was never quite sure, you know, exactly where I was thinking of going. But I'm thinking of sort of heading in that direction, around the probably around the back of Yes Tor eventually, and then probably camp in by the reservoir over that way. And maybe I should stop waffling and start walking. I just wanted to film this quickly. I haven't put the mic on, so I hope it comes out okay, but one creature, or one dog, is now the creature from the Black Lagoon, because she's just found the dirtiest, muckiest bog pit that's going. I mean, I reckon now she'd be an extra for Doctor Who or something like that. Oh, and straight back in again. Well, welcome to Tony's camp. I've got the Mountain Laurel Designs. How many seconds was that? Probably about 10 maybe. I've got the Mountain Laurel Designs 2 in 15 seconds. I won't say it again. The MLD Cuben Fiber Supermid, and there's a few bugs around. One thing I forgot was an internet. Mind you, with this, if you put a little internet, you're rather defeating the object of having something so humongous. And in fact, as someone quite rightly said, I think I probably needed planning permission to pitch this here. It's so huge. But I'm pretty sure that you do need to pitch the Cuben Supermid a little bit lower than the Sil Nylon Supermid. There's not a lot in it, but it does seem to be a little bit lower. But as I say, I'm in camp. I haven't done an awful lot yet. I've put out the ground sheet, so that's obviously Lass's bed there, and then I've put out my double ground sheet there. Ron on the newer models has put tie out points in the corners, that corner and that corner, and then there's another tie out in this corner, and then obviously one in that corner. But for ease, I've put a peg in there, and then I've put a peg in just down there, and then for Lass's bed I've put one peg there, so 2, and then obviously just tied it off around the centre pole, and then that corner utilises my peg over there. I haven't taken the mat out. This is which is my old, and you would have seen this before, my old Exodus mounted roller designs. So how many times is that? For a third time in 2 minutes maybe? So yes, this is the MLD Exodus with the back system. I think Ron has changed this design now, but this is the original design. And I put my sleeping mat actually in the back system to give that support, and then my sleeping bag is there. So I'll whip that out. I'll whip it out soon, and bare raw to show you. Lassie has had a swim, but she's drying off at the moment, and I'll hopefully try and have a fly around camp soon. I've taken my shoes and socks off. As you can see, my shoes and socks of course got wet as expected, and it's not cold, so I'm just letting them air dry. And I've just walked around this tiny area here, and I just use bare feet just in here just to put that out. And I think barefoot's fine as long as you're careful. And of course a cup of soup there. In here I've put the, as you saw earlier, the double ground sheet. I did have a companion, then there, you know, there is room for 2 people on this double sheet here, so obviously you could put another mat down there and another sleeping bag, and you would get two people there. I've just dropped my waterproofs there and my down jacket. Socks, which I'll put on for night time. I knew it was going to be potentially cooler being September, so I put light gloves in, my leggings to go on later, and a beanie hat again in case it's cold. I brought my buff scarf, and in case it gets extra cold, I did bring a light balaclava, and Lassie, she had dried herself. Oh, she's over there. Come on. Come on, this way. There, Bushka. The Phantom has flown. The Phantom raspberry blower has been around. In fact, he's still here actually. He's still here at the moment. Lassie, here. Come on. Lassie, here. Good girl. And I know a few people have been interested in what I have with me. I will do a sort of a specific video at some stage, but I've got a repair kit there, first aid kit there, obviously a lighter there, that's the bag for the stove, water, camera. I've just got a small cloth this time. Obviously when it's wetter or colder I'd have a bigger cloth than that, and I've not got a cloth for Lassie. I've only got that for myself. Again, it's not cold, so she doesn't need a cloth at the moment, but she will soon. Peg bag, mess, that's all the Phantom stuff there. It's not an awful lot really. Obviously the ground sheet, the Supermid, sleeping mat, sleeping bag, a down jacket in case it gets cold if I'm standing around outside and I need extra insulation outside, and waterproofs, and that's it. Oh, and a battery charger for my phone, power pack in there, and a torch of course. Oh, and the water is now boiling. Right, I've had a sort of a couple of comments that's worth just sort of mentioning now. A few people have said, why don't I use a tent? I suppose I could. There's a few bugs are coming out now. Now is one reason why you might want a tent, or at least an inner tent, which of course I didn't bring with me, so I'll have to I'll have to move around a lot to escape the bugs. Yes, where was I? Yes, right, yeah, be sensible. Yeah, no, I'm not sure if it's possible to be sensible. Yes, a tent. I'll fire that back with another question. Why do I need a tent? Obviously, if you're with someone and they've not camped before, or even if you like a tent, then, you know, use a tent. For me, I really don't see a need, you know, to necessarily use a tent very often. If this kind of shelter is good enough for Chris Townsend, it's more than good enough for me. But as I say, it could have done with an inner this time with the bugs around. I'll have to see what happens next year. Maybe look to get an inner. The other thing is, and it's on the same subject, you know, if you can use a shelter like this, why would you even want a tent? You know, why would you want to be cooped up in some sort of, you know, coffin shaped thing when, you know, literally, okay, I know obviously a Supermid is an exaggerated size, but when you've got this much room, I can't imagine, I honestly cannot imagine why you would want to sleep in a cocooned tent when you could have so much more room like that. As I say, forgetting the bugs and things. Take my eye off her for 1 minute. I tell you, you cannot spare 2 seconds with a dog. And of course she was Well, at least she's got all that mud off her earlier. She puts her paw out. She is absolutely crazy. Right, well it's 5 to 7, and as you can see I've retreated inside and I have done the I've done the door up. I don't normally do that, of course. Maybe it's actually just as well that I did bring this as opposed to the as opposed to the Trail Star, because obviously this has a door which the Trail Star doesn't, and that is actually keeping most of the bugs at bay. Ah, the bugs! Look at the dog. Alright, sorry dog. Sorry, I thought we were being attacked by bugs. Oh, lad. Oh, lads. Oh, dear goodness gracious, mate. Alright, you can go back to bed. You can go back to bed now. It's just Daddy acting the goat. Daddy isn't acting, he just is the goat. Yeah, Daddy's the goat. Yeah, you're the doggy. Yeah, you're a pretty doggy. Oh, God. Anyway, there really is absolutely no hope whatsoever. Oh, poor dog was fast asleep. Yeah, so it's quite warm, so I've got one leg out and obviously the other leg in. I could even probably get that leg out. Let's see, Lassie! Get Lassie! Come on. And I don't tip your food up. Are you going to eat your food? Or are you going to get into bed? Not with me either. I'm not that desperate. Now, in that bed there. Yeah, well of course it's a bit damp because you went in the water, you chump. Yeah. She says it's much nicer outside. What are you going to do? You're going to tip that food up. You settle down there. Okay, that's fine. I'll leave her there for the minute. She can dry herself off a bit more. I might have to use my towel and dry her bed. That's what happens when you go swimming just before bed. I do say don't go swimming before you go to bed. Maybe that's an old wives' tale, I don't know. I wonder why they call things old wives' tales, not old husband tales. Okay, well, good morning. It's 7:45. We've been up about an hour and a bit. Lassie, here. I didn't do any filming after dark because I read until about 8 o'clock, just before it got dark, and I then felt tired, put my head on the pillow and fell asleep until 3 o'clock. So there's Lassie sort of saying, "Can't we get out yet?" Hello, you pretty girl. Yeah, she's a pretty girl. Now you stay there. She has her, this is the, that sort of north super top or Supermid, and this is south Supermid. And I'm in, and of course, trust me to be in the south. That's the demarcation zone across there. That's the second parallel there, Lassie. So she has her. Thank you, Lassie. Wait. That's it. Okay. She has her section, and I've got mine. Her bed dried out nicely last night, but she just stayed asleep on the grass. I still don't think she's very keen on the rattle of that. Lassie. Okay. She probably wants a she probably wants a wee, I expect. Good girl. You need to stick a cork up your bum or something. Stick a cork up your bum. Oh dear. Right, well at the moment you've just caught us in the process of being daft as usual. I'm just sitting on this foam mat here, which is just keeping me off the ground. Go back, go back. Go on, Lassie, go back. That's it. Yeah, so I'm just sort of sitting on that just to keep my backside warm, or stop it from getting cold on the ground. So I'm just unpuffing the bed, which will go in the back system on this pack. I've put the sleeping bag and my nighttime clothes in this stuff sack here. And again, my nighttime clothes is not very much, basically just very light leggings, socks and a balaclava, which I didn't need. I don't know what the temperature was last night, but it was mild enough. I mean, I did keep my shirt and my wind shirt on, mainly because I couldn't be bothered to take them off, but I was so comfortable, you know, I thought, well, I'll just leave them on, so I didn't take those off. And of course Lassie kept her coat on as well, so neither of us were in the nuddy last night, were we? No, we weren't in the nuddy, were we? Oh, lads. So, right, anyway, there's enough of that lurid talk, isn't there? We better carry on and get packing. This is what I like about the Supermid. I can be on my knees and sit up and have, you know, plenty of headroom. In fact, my head's not touching anything at all. In fact, as you can see, I haven't brushed anything. It's easy with just one in here, of course, but I haven't brushed anything in here at all. It's just so much room, and of course so light. You know, you'd think something this spacious would weigh a ton. I mean, even in sil nylon, it's only about 8 or 900 grams. Lassie, dog. Everything's gone flying now. Come on, dog. Good girl. But in Cuben fibre, with the guy lines, it's 660 grams, which is exceptionally light. And of course, there's enough room for Lassie to run around and play and wait. No, not wait. I just don't want her getting out until I've opened the door. No, you wait until we open the door, dog. Yeah, you're a pretty girl. You're a pretty girl. To give you an idea as to how little I bring, really, I don't know if you can see in there, but that's the sleeping bag on the left, and in that bag is obviously the sleeping bag and my nighttime clothes, and that's it. I've put the cook system in the bag. What else did I put in there? The cook system is like the generation game now, this, isn't it? The torch, head torch, I've put in there. I want to know what I just put in there, Lassie. My memory. Oh, socks. The sealskin socks I put in there. And that's it, really, because that was all I had. That's my rubbish. That's my rubbish. Take your rubbish home with you, of course. My hat, which will go on my head. My cap, which will go in the pack. That's obviously all the Phantom stuff over there. That's my repair kit and first aid kit. So, admittedly, that has to go into the pack. My waterproofs here, top and bottom, and in this bag here is my down jacket. Ow. And obviously my pillow. And that's it. And then obviously the ground sheet will have to go in, and the Supermid will go on the outside. So whilst it looks, sometimes whilst it looks a lot that I bring, it really isn't very much once it's organised and put away into packs. I was just doing a quick bit of experimenting before I put the Supermid away. I've put everything else inside away, and I just wanted to see how close to the ground I can get it, and this is probably within a centimetre or two, as close to the ground as you're going to get it, bearing in mind obviously this is uneven ground here as well. So I've got obviously this peg here is maybe about a foot or so. What's that, 12 inches, isn't it? Blimey, I seem to be shrinking from 18 inches to 16 inches, and now I've only got 12 inches. My goodness, if I shrink any more, there won't be anything worth getting out. So where were we? Yes, anyway. So that's about as close as you're going to get to the ground on that one. You might, as I say, get a fraction closer, of course. That one over there is also close to the ground. I'll give you one guess where Lassie is. This was the peg that I did have to play around with a little bit. That bit is about 6 inches. Oh dear, I am disappearing. So as you can see, that's just a short gap there, and this was the seam down here, which I did have to play with a tiny bit with the pegging angles just to get that seam tight, because it was sagging. That's what happens when you start to disappear, of course. So that one I had to adjust a little bit, and that's where I don't think you'll get it any lower. And again, this is where the ground and terrain and everything like that does come into play, of course. So you can see that one is on the ground pretty much, and this whole rear ridge here is pretty much on the ground. This one is in the ground. You're not going to get any closer to the ground than that one. And then of course, as I say, this one which you saw earlier is, you know, pretty much low on the ground. I've used the one peg on all the tie out points. The bottom piece of cord is, I think I measured it at 3 feet, and the top piece of cord I believe I did at 4 feet. I'm not exactly sure on that, but I think that's what I did. It could even be 4 and 5, but I know the bottom one was 1 foot less than the top one, just to accommodate the extra distance. And of course, using one peg, that does raise the hem a tiny bit there. So again, maybe in the winter an extra peg here would lower this point here. So that's again just something to bear in mind. I'm not entirely sure yet. You of course do want some airflow, but all in all, I'm very impressed with how that pitches, you know, lower. And again, also the big advantage to Cuben fibre, of course. 1, it's lighter than sil nylon, and 2, it won't sag. So once that's pitched at night, it doesn't matter whether that gets wet, rain, dew, condensation, anything, that will be the same shape in the morning. Of course, with sil nylon, that will sag, so you will have to get out and readjust it. So that's a low pitch, and I'm not sure how high that is. That's less than 5'8". That's probably 5'6" at a guess. Missed it really, but just had the local well, hunt I suppose going past, but they obviously haven't caught anything. I don't like fox hunting like anyone else, most likely, but I have to say there's something rather British and I don't know, spectacular maybe, whatever word you want to use, hateful perhaps even, I'll leave that to you. But seeing a load of horses and dogs riding past, I don't know, it's very British to me.